gone live yet. When is it? Okay, we're live. Okay, good morning or good afternoon, whatever. Um, the I wanted to talk about a couple of things in the discussions and stuff. I'm happy with everything. You guys are doing wonderful jobs. Um, I think they've thrown a couple curveballs at you. Um, I'm puzzled about this. They gave you a question on ethics. Brilliant. Did you have a class on ethics? Did they give you the chapter to read or what? Nothing, or is it just on your own? Um, hmm, I don't know. I mean, I've had a class on business ethics, and it doesn't have anything to do with morality. Most of you, the lion's share of you, put down, "Oh, why am I a moral person?" or something like that. Well, yes, that's important, but business ethics doesn't. I don't think really addresses that. It's professional standards. We have GAP. We have different standards that you have to maintain. It's not necessarily morality. Okay, having said all that, we can let that go. I give of course, in discussions, I give everybody full points. If you have an idea, I will honor that. The other thing is, let's see what else we want to talk about. There was another thing on the homework that bothered me. It was there was some people had a discussion question. There was a chart and was the accounting equation, um, assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. And one of the items they had in there was expense. What? Wait a minute. You threw a curveball again. Um, Not you, but the book is throwing a curveball. Most of you said an expense is a liability, and that's a reasonable answer. I would say no, it's not a liability. It actually goes at the end of the day, it goes against owner's equity, but it doesn't belong in but the problem is it doesn't belong in the equation. Um, when you when you have an expense, you what'll happen? You have an expense. You either pay cash for it or you create a payable, right? Either way, let's say I have an expense and I pay cash, so that's a credit to cash and a debit to expense. Um, then the expense is uh, they go to at the end of the day go to owner's equity. Um, I'm cutting that. I'm kind of compressing everything here in a nutshell. But it's nothing you did wrong. It's just I think they're kind of some of the questions are confusing. Oh, and question 31, for those of you that went through the test, which is I'm assuming most of you, and it says on there 31, and they say if looking at on question 31 on the quiz, looking at the above table, T account rather, blah, blah, blah. And of course, there's no T account. Well, that was a editing goof, and it's not there. Don't worry, I'll add a point to everybody. Although, I guess in theory, I'm not going to do this, but 25% of you, if you just threw a dart against the wall, you have a 1 in 4 shot at it. Oh, by the way, you know how to take tests. This not only from this class, but any class in college. If it's multiple choice, usually 2 answers can be eliminated as ridiculous, and 2 answers look reasonable. If you don't know the answer, you got a 50-50 chance. The other thing is, and this has nothing to do with this class in particular, but never go back and change answers on a test unless you see something in a question further down in the exam that gives you a hint that says, "Oh, you know what? I forgot this," and then you can go back and change it. But if you finish the test and then say, "I'm going to go back and look at it again," no, your first guess was your best guess. You could always start questioning yourself. Don't do that. Let's see, what was the other thing I wanted to mention? Last thing. So, some of these things on there say hired such and such. How does that fit in the accounting equation? It doesn't. Unless you have a legal obligation to pay somebody, then you would have an expense or prepaid. I mean, I could prepay rent, or I have an obligation to pay the landscaper over the next 12 months or something like that. But let's say I just hire an employee, or I sign a contract with Staples that will allow me to open an account at Staples, and that allows me to buy paper and supplies from them. Does that fit in any account equation? No, not until I actually do something. I buy something, I sell something, and cash doesn't have to change hands as long as there's a obligation to proceed on the uh, to proceed in a business transaction, either a purchase or a sale. So that's all I have to say. Sorry if I took too long with this. I hope it didn't go much over 5 minutes, but enjoy the rest of your weekends.